Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coon. The white man to go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's see who is in here. 504 Nola. All right. Claudette is in the house. Jasmine Virgo is here. Okay. So let's get into it. Nessa G. Deronda. All right. Everybody, please hit that like button. Thank you in advance. All right. Lawyer is in the house. Okay. Dark Titan, Lorraine. Okay. Pretty Wings. My Aunt Egypt. Alice. All right. Nessa G. Let's get into it. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Hopefully they'll be here in a minute. There goes that crazy Bisha Aries. All right. Jeff ATL, Courtney J is in the house. D Major. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. Let's get into it. I see you. It's Bree to you. So before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget to purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com, and she sells beard oil also. Okay, so let's get into it because y'all's president is a whole hot mess. So I was pleasantly pleased to find out that Donald Trump's trip that he was so excited about over to the UK, he was going over to the UK and he was so excited because he was going to be at Buckingham Palace and all of that. He thought it was going to be so great and grand. Alas, he was over there and he was humiliated. His trip was a disaster and it was ruined. Okay, you know why it was ruined? Well, I'm so glad you asked because first off, if you all remember, I reported to you some days ago that Peter Mandelson, that's him right there, good old friend of Epstein, all right, and Trump's no less. He was fired from his position after they found out from those leaked emails. Okay, that they're still trying to figure out how Bloomberg got their hands on all those emails, like 83,000, no less. But yeah, it was disclosed in the emails that Mandelson was being very chummy and friendly with Epstein and encouraging him and saying you're going to beat this and telling him what to do and saying all of that. So that wasn't a good look. But now Trump got upset because Trump's like, this is all bad timing. Because now all everybody's going to want to do is talk about the Epstein debacle when he gets to the UK. And he's been trying to escape that over here in the US, only for him to go on a planned trip that he thought was going to be a relaxing vacation and he was going to take pictures and all that. And for him to find out that there were protesters, in fact, waiting for him when he arrived. Protesters waiting for him. And this talk about Epstein just made it all so bad for Trump. Bless his little heart. So what do y'all think about it? Is that what he gets? Is that what he gets? Okay. Adonia Box Israel. I hope I said your name right. Adonia. I like that. Says, Queen, I love your channel. I don't post because I be at work, but keep up the amazing job. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. And I like your name. Okay, so now let's look at some of these pictures that Trump took while he was over there. Bless his heart, like I said, how do y'all feel about your poor little old president being humiliated? Okay, and just so embarrassed. I mean, can you imagine the protesters? They were going in on him too. Look at him. Melania's hat looks like a lampshade. No shade, but all shade. Look at him right there. He can't even shut his mouth for a moment. Mm, mm, mm. Still talking. Look at his face right here, you guys. Look at Could he have smiled any harder? Could he have cheesed any harder? Look at him. I am so done with y'all's president. Look at him. Over there just licking boots. Okay? That little sorry salute. I am so done. What's up with that hat Melania's wearing? Is she trying to hide her face or what? She's probably humiliated even being there with him, honey. She's like, let me just wear this big ass hat that looks like a whole lampshade so I can just cover my face. I am done. So anyway, what do y'all have to say about it? And you know what? Melania in that picture, there was a picture of her that I thought was hilarious. Hold on, let me see if I have that darn picture. There was a picture where Melania reminded me of here it is right here. I gotta send this to my email so I can show you all this. Have you all seen that movie? That movie, I think it's called The Woman in the Yard. Have y'all seen that? Has anybody seen that movie called The Woman in the Yard? That's who Melania reminded me of in one of those photos they took of her. I'm like, girl, what is going on with you and your husband? But anyway, with that all being said, now let's go to the footage of them protesting. And here's what they actually say. Now, listen to this. They say, according to biographer Michael Wolff, Donald Trump was privately raging and upset that Peter Mandelson, the UK's ambassador to the US, was fired. Mandelson was dismissed over his ties to convicted SEX offender Jeffrey Epstein. And Trump was reportedly angry about the timing of the firing, which came just days before his Senate visit to the UK in September of 2025. Because if I'm not mistaken, I want to say they got rid of Mandelson, maybe around the 11th or 12th, if I recall, if memory serves me correct. I think that's when he was officially let go, because I reported it to you all. So anyway, goes on to say, overshadowing his trip, Trump expressed frustration to the aides that Mandelson's firing would simply serve as a reminder to the public of Epstein, with whom Trump also had a past relationship. Wolf reported that Trump felt that this is just going to remind people of Epstein. Ah, y'all hear that? Poor little old Trump. He thought he was going to have the time of his life, but oops. So Epstein is still haunting him. You see, this is what happens. Now, they said it ruined the optics. Trump's state visit was intended to showcase his relationship with the royal family and draw attention away from the lingering Epstein scandal. Mandelson's dismissal over his ties to Epstein directly seemed to have undermined this event or this effort. And they say that Trump had displeasure with the timing. Okay, it was the timing of it all for Trump, you guys. Says, while Mandelson was effectively brazening it out after the scandal broke, the UK government ultimately had to act. For Trump, the timing was terrible, with the firing drawing negative headlines just before his arrival. Well, you know, like I always tell you all, you don't win when you play dirty. Okay? And that's all that Trump's been doing. That's all that Trump has been doing. Now, they say strong personal relationship. So despite Mandelson's past criticism of Trump, he was an effective ambassador who had cultivated a good working relationship with the U.S. president. Trump had even praised Mandelson's beautiful accent during an Oval Office meeting. His firing left Trump without a familiar point of contact in Washington. So, and they also say, in addition to that, a source informed of White House discussions told Politico that Trump was irritated by the handling of Mandelson's dismissal and displeased that he was not personally informed by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Ooh, honey, y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that? I mean, the whole thing was just a farce for Trump, okay? Now let's go to the protesters. Because I definitely didn't know that was going to pop up. And neither did Trump, clearly. Hold on, beloveds. I'm looking for that video. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Ha! They have Trump looking so crazy on here and calling him Taco. Hold on. Let me share my screen. Like some, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you.
So this is the counterpoint to the flattery and the pomp that we're seeing in winter. There are no royal carriages here. There are no military parades, no banquets. This is a very different England. This England is largely left-wing, though not exclusively. It's an England of environmentalists, of human rights organisations, of trade unions, and the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. And like in 2019, when Trump came, they've come out onto the streets to say that Donald Trump is not welcome here.
I think for me, it's about the dismantling of what we understand to be truth, what we understand to be standards. We've had 400 years of the Enlightenment in which we generated great developments. We've had the Declaration of Human Rights by the UN. We've had all sorts of progress. And my concern is that it is being single-handedly dismantled to the point where information and general knowledge is having to bend the knee to one man's ego.
I'm very worried in this country that, we've seen the rise, the rise of the populist right kind of taken over in the US. We don't want it over here.
So for many of the demonstrators here, Donald Trump is not only a threat to human rights around the world, a climate change denier, an enabler of a genocide in Gaza. He is also a door through which the far right enters, and they believe that Keir Starmer is making a devil's bargain and that democracy is not worth a trade deal. So this is the counterpoint.
What do y'all say about that? Oh, poor Trump. He can't catch a break, can he? No matter what he does, he cannot escape the Epstein debacle. Okay? And you know, here's the thing. I guess Trump wanted to go over there and showcase, like they said, showcase and act like he was so down and so tight with the royal family. Those people probably don't even really like Trump's silly self. They just have to deal with him because he's the president. And look at this picture right here. This is the one I was talking about. Look at Melania. What is she doing right there? Look at that hat. Doesn't she look like the woman in the yard from that movie? And then why do they have Trump in this damn carriage looking all uncomfortable? Look at him riding around in a horse and buggy, or in a stagecoach, no less, and just looking so extremely uncomfortable. I mean, I absolutely cannot, okay? This is all bad news. Now, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel because, honey, let me tell you all something. I guess they thought they were just going to appease Trump's ego and go ahead and get rid of Jimmy Kimmel because you all do know that this is all behind Trump, right? This is all behind Trump. Now, who celebrated? Durana said she's embarrassed, Queen. Of course she is. She hit her entire face, okay? I'd have been embarrassed too. Can you imagine? She's like, maybe if I just pull this hat down over my face like a lampshade and try to hide behind it, no one will notice me. Okay? Like we used to do when we were kids. If I just pull this down just a little bit, nobody would even see me sitting here or standing here. Okay, I am so done. All right, so now with that all being said, let us continue because, as I said, you know, Jimmy Kimmel is gone, but there's backlash because now people are talking about boycotting ABC and Disney, right, for getting rid of him. So listen to this. ABC yanks Jimmy Kimmel's show indefinitely after threat from Trump's FCC chair. Now, for those of you that didn't tune in last night for the broadcast, I did talk about this already, how Jimmy Kimmel was snatched. It was breaking news last night. But now they're saying that Trump's FCC chair is the one who got rid of him. Well, I'm willing to bet money, okay, that Trump, is, of course, is the one who told the man to do it. All right, now he wants to let the FCC chair take the fall. Yeah, okay, Trump, we know that you're behind it. So they say Disney's ABC is taking Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show off the air indefinitely amid a controversy over his recent comments about Charlie Kirk's respected killer. Here's the thing. They're really just mad because Jimmy told the truth. They are trying to act like the young man who did the killing is not one of them. And they're also trying to blame it on the Dems. And not only that, they're specifically going in on Barack Obama. I told you all that last night too. But they have said even more things, trying to, you know, put this stuff on Obama, which I find so interesting. These people are clearly delusional. Okay, we're going to get into more of it. But so anyway, Jimmy Kimmel's live will be preempted indefinitely. Okay, an ABC spokesperson said this, declining to share any further details. Now, a representative for Kimmel did not immediately respond to a request for comment. They say the stunning decision came just a few hours after the Trump administration official responsible for licensing ABC's local stations publicly pressured the company to punish Kimmel. So they said this person told them to punish him. So at least two major owners of ABC-affiliated stations subsequently said they would preempt Kimmel's show, sparking speculation that the owners were trying to curry favor with the administration. That's what it is. Now, I want you all to pay attention because I already told you all what was going down. These people are absolutely trying to curry favor with Trump. I don't know why in the world everyone is acting like they're so afraid of him, like they, you know, have their hands tied behind their backs, like they're up against the wall in a corner, okay, with their nose touching touching it because this is all crazy. Everybody's just doing whatever Trump says. CBS went ahead and paid him when he filed that lawsuit. They easily could have won in court. Why would they go ahead and settle with him? Like, Trump seems to have these people by the kahunas. But let me continue. I don't want to go on a whole rant. So anyway, they say that the local media conglomerates are each seeking mergers that would require administration approval. So that's what it is. They need Trump to sign off on some things they're trying to do, and they don't want to tick him off. So they're doing whatever he wants, and he's using his power. Okay, see, this is what this is, an abuse of power. And isn't Trump the one that's always trying to accuse somebody of that? So anyway, goes on to say, is Kimmel prepared to tape Wednesday night's episode in Hollywood? ABC decided to pull the plug, much to the astonishment of the entertainment industry. Now, free speech and free expression groups immediately condemned ABC, calling the suspension cowardly, while President Trump, who frequently sparred with Kimmel, celebrated all the way from the UK, where he's on a state visit. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. This is what Trump said on his post on Truth Social. That leaves Jimmy Fallon and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. Y'all hear this? Now, the indefinite hiatus underscores how politicized opinions and comments around the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk have become, with high-profile campaigns urging employers to fire people who make comments perceived as unflattering about Kirk. And the president has also gone after media companies, specifically when they displease him, as with a $15 billion defamation lawsuit that he filed against the New York Times this week, and lawsuits against other outlets. Did you all know this? I meant to report on that to you all yesterday because I found out that Trump did, in fact, file a $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. Honey, Trump is just, now lawsuits are his next grift, apparently. Okay, so during his Monday evening monologue, Kimmel said that the MAGA movement, hold on, why don't I just let you all see what Jimmy Kimmel said? Let's go right to it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, I'm going to share my screen.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
Okay, no lies detected. Okay, that was so very dismissive. That was so dismissive. And that was supposed to be his friend. Honey, he immediately switched the topic. Didn't want to talk about it. And the reason he didn't want to talk about it is because, like I told you all before, when they found out that Tyler and his entire family was all MAGA, yeah, nothing left to talk about here. Okay, nothing left to talk about here. And so anyway, with that all being said, let's go to a few more of these videos where they're talking about Kimmel, and then we're going to get into these boycotts. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Off the air indefinitely. This follows a controversy over comments the late night comedian, made Monday night about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer and the MAGA movement and their reaction to the assassination. Let's get straight to CNN's chief media affairs correspondent, Brian Stelter. Brian, what is going on?
That's right. This is fast developing this afternoon, Jake, amid pressure from the Trump-aligned FCC. And in the past few minutes, ABC confirmed to CNN that Kimmel's show will be off the air, quote, indefinitely. We have not yet heard from Kimmel or his representatives. That's how quickly this has been developing. But let's back up and look at what Kimmel actually said on the program that has caused controversy. This is from Monday night in his Monday evening monologue. Kimmel suggested that the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk might have been a pro-Trump Republican. He said, quote, the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. He said in between the finger pointing, there was grieving. Kimmel was expressing what we've heard some other
The bottom line is Jimmy Kimmel didn't tell any lies. He didn't say anything wrong as far as I'm concerned, but hey, quite frankly, some people were ticked off. Now, here's what they're reporting. And I want you all to pay attention because now they're saying, hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, so here's what they're saying. Jimmy Kimmel Live will be replaced. Now, this is what's going to happen now that they've gotten rid of Jimmy. They say he'll be replaced on Friday by a Charlie Kirk tribute special on Sinclair's ABC affiliate stations. The company is demanding that Kimmel apologize to Kirk's family and send a meaningful personal donation to them and to Turning Point USA, the organization that Kirk founded that advocates for conservative politics in high schools and colleges. Honey, they wouldn't make me do a darn thing. He's already fired. Okay, they already kicked him off the air. Now you're still trying to tell the man what to do. I'd only do it if that's what I wanted to do. Mr. Kimmel's remarks were inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for our country. That's Sinclair's vice chairman, Jason Smith. That's what he said in a statement. He went on to say that we believe broadcasters have a responsibility to educate and elevate respectful, constructive dialogue in our communities. We appreciate FCC Chairman Carr's remarks, and this incident highlights the critical need for the FCC to take immediate regulatory action to address control held over local broadcasters by the big national networks. Well, here's the thing. Find this all very interesting because they have a problem with Kimmel saying basically that the right is grieving in between, pointing the finger, and how they're trying to act like this person was not one of them. What is wrong with that if that's the way he felt? He didn't say anything wrong. He didn't say anything, disparaging about Charlie Kirk. But they're mad because he told the truth. And I find it interesting that the FCC had so much to say. Right, Mel said even the FCC is MAGA. Yes, they're appointed by Trump, beloved. So with that all being said, I find it interesting that they want to get upset with Jimmy Kimmel, but nobody said a darn thing about these people on the right saying words that are dog whistles and saying things that could provoke violence. Nobody's saying anything. And at the same time, they're saying these things that could provoke violence. They're trying to pin it on the left and acting as if they're the ones pushing for violence when none of them have said anything. They haven't said anything about anything violent. Okay? That's what the right is doing. It's like they're all trying to skirt responsibility. All right, so now let's talk about this boycott because I guess they thought they're just going to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel and that was going to be the end of it, but no. Absolutely not. So, ABC announced Wednesday evening that it had suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely following backlash over comments that he made about the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. So this decision came hours after FCC Chairman Brendan Carr publicly criticized Kimmel's remarks and suggested regulatory consequences. The move also coincides with Nexstar Media media groups pending $6.2 billion merger with Tegna, which is subject to FCC approval, raising questions about whether corporate and regulatory pressures influenced the network's response. Well, of course it did. Now, the suspension came amid calls for broadcasters to take action against what he called garbage and was swiftly praised by Donald Trump. Now, major Hollywood unions and progressive groups are pushing back, accusing ABC and its affiliates of censorship and demanding a boycott of Disney properties. So after years of progressive-led cancellations targeting conservative voices, the tables have turned, marking a significant moment in culture wars. And let me tell you all something else. This is how dumb Trump is. When Trump was praising them for getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel, in his text that he put, in his post that he put on Truth Social, he was saying NBC, but it's ABC with his stupid self. But let me continue. So with that all being said, the host criticized MAGA figures for politicizing Kirk's death and all of that. Now, they say musician union condemns ABC over Kimmel's suspension, cites threat to free expression. Okay, that's what the American Federation of Musicians said. They issued a strong statement on Wednesday, okay, criticizing ABC and Trump's administration following the network's decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel. The union, which represents entertainment industry musicians, including those from Local 47 in Los Angeles who work on the show, they call the move a direct attack on free speech and artistic expression. AFM President Tino Gallardi said the FCC's response to Kimmel's remarks, coupled with threats of regulatory action, amounts to state censorship. He warned that such pressure undermines core democratic principles and puts livelihoods at risk, saying that we stand in solidarity with all those who will be without work because of government's overreach. Okay, he went on to say that the statement joins a growing chorus of concern from labor groups and civil liberty advocates over the implications of the suspension. Now, the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, I almost said Brendan Paul. Brendan Carr said on Thursday that there is a much bigger shakeup that's underway right now in the wake of Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. Ever since President Trump won the election, it's created a permission structure for markets, including the media market, to rationalize. If you look at the ratings for late night TV, they've been in an absolute nosedive for years. This is what he said on CNBC. Okay, so I'm going to go to this video on my screen, to this clip. Disney owns a lot of things. Yeah, they absolutely do own ESPN, beloved.
By asking, did you play a role in this beyond your public comments? I believe they took place yesterday morning on a podcast in which you said we can do this the easy way or the hard way. In terms of changing conduct on Kimmel, or you said there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. Was that enough, in your opinion, to spur this move by Disney, or were you involved beyond that?
I think there's a much bigger shakeup that's underway right now. I think people, again, try to focus narrowly on the specifics here. But if you just back up, I think ever since President Trump won the election, it's created a permission structure for markets, including the media market, to rationalize. And again, if you look at the ratings for late night television, they've been in an absolute nosedive for years. But for some reason, these companies felt like they had to continue to subsidize it. And I think that's ending. And again, I think your viewers get this, but think about the business side of this. You have the national programmers, Disney, that create this content, and you've got individualized licensed TV stations all across the country. And they're required, they've been for years, required to respond to the needs of their local communities and viewers. And I think it was those local communities and viewers that were saying, you know, we don't like this stuff anymore. And so Nexstar was the first mover here, said we're going to preempt this program, we're going to black it out. Again, that's what you're supposed to do, a healthy, functioning market. So I think, again, people sort of focus on, you know, narrow specifics, but there's a much bigger shift that's taking place right now in the media ecosystem. And frankly, I think that's a good thing.
Okay, so just looking at him, I'm not surprised. Okay, I am not surprised. Adonia says, we are watching them attack each other and they're trying to add us in the crowd. Nope, we aren't going. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. When the infighting starts, honey, they want to drag us in, honey. We don't have time for it. Now, let's go to what Trump said back in January of 2025. Further proof that Trump is such a liar who lies. Here he is right here. This is from January. This lying self.
After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
Stations an individual company can own. Nexstar already owns lots of TV stations. It wants to merge with Tegna, which owns lots of other stations. In order to do that, it needs Brendan Carr, the FCC chair's permission, and it actually needs the FCC to change the regulations entirely about how many stations an individual company can own. So Nexstar has all of this pending business before the government. Tegna also does, and there's another big station owner called Sinclair that also has business pending before the government. So what do we know tonight? We know that both Nexstar and Sinclair called up ABC this afternoon, complained about Kimmel, and said they were yanking the show off their stations. ABC subsequently yanked the show nationwide. So we know that two major TV station owners, both of which need to curry favor with the Trump administration, were the ones that most loudly and vocally condemned Kimmel and said they were going to not air the show tonight and in the coming nights. It's an Occam's razor situation. It's exactly what it looks like. Nexstar already owns lots of TV stations. It wants to merge with Tegna, which owns lots of other stations. In order to do that, it needs Brendan Carr, the FCC chair's permission, and it actually needs the FCC to change the regulations entirely about how many stations an individual company can own. So Nexstar has all of this pending business before the government. Tegna also does, and there's another big station owner called Sinclair that also has business pending before the government. So what do we know tonight? We know that both Nexstar and Sinclair called up ABC this afternoon, complained about Kimmel, and said they were yanking the show off their stations. ABC subsequently yanked the show nationwide. So we know that two major TV station owners, both of which need to curry favor with the Trump.
All right, sorry about that, you guys. I was trying to get this other video. I was distracted. I was getting this other video together. So I'm going to go to that because these are some Jimmy Kimmel fans voicing their thoughts about Jimmy Kimmel being snatched off the air.
Jimmy Kimmel stays, Trump must go. I'm on Hollywood Boulevard outside the theater where Jimmy Kimmel has been recording his show for more than 20 years. I've been speaking to fans and supporters of the show who say they're pretty surprised and disappointed that it's now been canceled or suspended indefinitely.
His family said it was canceled. They didn't give us a reason why.
This is the ultimate in cancel culture. We're losing our First Amendment rights of freedom of speech.
He said something, that's his opinion, but to cancel the show, to me, that's bizarre.
It's fine if you don't like these comedians, and it's fine if you don't like these shows, but what if you say something that someone doesn't like?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Trump is just doing whatever he wants. He's basically getting rid of anyone in a position of power that he can't stand. Anyone who's criticized him, ever said a harsh word about him, didn't do what he told them to do, whatever, he's getting rid of them. That's how that's going. Okay, that's how that's going. Now let's talk about Tyler Robinson, the shooter, the killer, because Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin, well, he had some interesting requests before he turned himself in. He had some interesting requests before he turned himself in. He made a deal and a negotiation, so to speak. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I'm going to share my screen. Jeff ATL said Trump is an insecure piece of ish. He definitely is insecure. That's a fact. What I'm wondering is what's going on with Trump's health, because I don't think they're being, 100% transparent about his health. That bruise that we keep seeing on his hand, and then he keeps trying to cover it. And then when he was in the UK, there's a picture of his hand. Somebody zoomed in and it looks awful. And then you notice when he was sitting at the table at the desk in the Oval Office talking the other day, he was trying to cover it with his other hand. I don't know if you all noticed it, but I did. It looks like his flesh is just, I don't know what's going on with Trump, honey, at the end of the day. But it's something they're not telling us, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go on to what they're saying about Tyler Robinson.
Of assassinating Charlie Kirk.
We're also learning what Tyler Robinson requested during his negotiation with law enforcement.
Garrett Tenney joins us from Utah Valley University's campus. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, good morning, y'all. We are getting more insights into the mind of Charlie Kirk's alleged killer, who in the span of about 30 hours went from brutally assassinating Charlie and thinking he'd get away with it to fearing that he was going to be shot by police and wanting to take his own life. Last Thursday, after the suspect's parents called him and confronted him about killing Charlie Kirk, he was driving, the sheriff says he was driving to a remote area of southern Utah to end his life. His parents were able to convince him not to do that and said they would help him surrender peacefully. The suspect had some conditions for turning himself in, though, and a family friend who's a former sheriff's deputy helped to negotiate those terms, which the sheriff is now sharing.
He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement. So part of the negotiation and getting him to bring himself in was that we would treat it as delicate and as soft as possible to make him feel comfortable to where he would show up at my office, and that's exactly what happened.
First of all, that sounds crazy. First of all, a lot of nerve of him after he just shot and killed somebody. He wants to make sure he doesn't get shot. Also, that's kind of interesting because they said previously in some previous reports that he was going to take himself out. That he had spoken to his parents and told them that he was going to take himself out, and they basically talked him into coming home and then them negotiating him to turn himself in. So if he was thinking about taking himself out, why was he worried about the police shooting him? Okay, that sounds interesting to me. But anyway, let's continue.
What did he ask for? Can I ask? He basically for a peaceful, gentle, comfortable transition for him to come out.
Another condition the suspect had was that plainclothes detectives would be the ones to escort him inside the sheriff's office rather than a SWAT team. So an hour later, that is what happened after his parents and that family friend drove him over. The sheriff described the suspect's demeanor as quiet and somber when he arrived, and during the 2.5 hours that he was there until law enforcement came and picked him up and brought him up to Utah County. As for his parents, the sheriff said they've been advised to lay low for a long time for their own safety, just because of the amount of threats that have been coming into the area for.
Not that they said the parents have, y'all listening, said the parents have been advised to lay low for a long time. First of all, do people even know his parents? Because they haven't been shown in the media. No one even really knows what they look like. This all sounds like a whole load of BS. Okay, I'm going to have to go along with Candace Owens with what she thinks, because that's exactly what I think. And that's what I told you all that I was thinking. And here's the thing. Now, so because they have that new bill that they've passed, HR 5300, where you can't say, y'all know what you can't say, right? Y'all remember what you can't say. You can't say anything bad about Israel. You can't say anything bad about Israel. So with that all being said, I definitely won't be saying anything bad about them because I need my passport. But what I will say is that Candace seems to think that Charlie was being blackmailed. Okay, and I'm just having several questions myself. I told you all from day one that I thought maybe Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu might have known a little something extra that they're not telling. That was just my opinion, but let me continue.
Anyone with the same last name. Back to y'all.
Wow. 1 week later, we're still getting the details. Garrett, thanks so much.
Yeah, our Vice President, J.D. Vance, was on with Jesse last night, and he really went into depth about, we know that he was very close with Charlie Kirk, and he owes Charlie Kirk his position as vice president, and said Charlie really rallied that youth vote and the college votes and the young 20s that supported Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to make them win the election in November. We heard that on Charlie's podcast when he did the Charlie Kirk show. But then last night he went into detail about how he found out and how he had to tell the president in the Oval Office. Listen.
I was the person who walked into the Oval Office and said, Mr. President, I'm sorry, but Charlie passed. And that was a very, very tough moment. Because Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, was in tears, and she doesn't show emotion. You know, she is even keel the whole way, and she was in tears. And I just gave Susie a hug, and I think all of us kind of lost it. And it felt like, it felt like we were all mourning our friend before any of the politics or the thought about, what a titan he was and how influential he was to the movement. How do we possibly replace him? We were all just sad because our friend had died, and we supported each other in that moment, as you do with your friends. But man, it was a bad, bad day. The president is very stoic, but he was clearly upset. He just kind of went quiet and let it absorb a little bit, and then just shook his head and said, man, he was a good guy, and we really loved him. And that's exactly right.
I think we saw a different side of J.D. Vance yesterday. You could tell the close personal relationship that he had with Charlie. He was quite emotional in the middle of the interview. They even had to bleep him one time because he was talking about this call for unity. And he's like, these guys aren't knocking it off. They're not cooling off the rhetoric. And he said, you killed my friend and you want me to unify with that. It was an interesting interview.
Yeah, Jesse did a great job.
He did.
A really good job. And I also thought it was almost therapy. I felt I was watching a therapy session.
Yeah.
Therapeutic. Yeah.
And, I'll let you go.
Well, he just reminded us you have to keep debating. Charlie Kirk would have wanted us to continue the conversations and continue to debate, not burn down cities, but debate, talk about both sides.
Right. The other thing I would add, too, is that he did say that he got calls from Democrats.
Yeah.
So to calm down, we understand what the impact he made. We think he was a good guy. I mean, when you heard the story with Gavin Newsom, Gavin Newsom said, I'm doing this podcast. I'd like you to be on. On his own dime, he flies to Gavin Newsom. They do it, 3 hours, whatever it took. And he says that he personally kept in touch with me and my staff since. Now, why would he do that? It's not to get publicity. It's to get more insight, build bonds, understand the other side, sees that this guy could be president. So I think that would be one thing. If I was in Gavin Newsom's camp, I'd say, talk about that.
Right.
This is an opportunity to be a unifier instead of saying punch him in the mouth.
I mean, frankly, from a personal standpoint, his son wanted to meet Charlie Kirk. His son listened to Charlie Kirk. You would think that would be a moment where the politics really don't matter at that point, where you just push that unity.
Okay, enough of them. Now let's go to Jesse Waters. Remember Jesse Waters? He's the one who was calling for avenging Charlie's death. Yeah, he still has a job at Fox, but Matt Dowd was fired after he just simply told the truth. Okay, but anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now he's upset with what Montel Williams said. Jesse Waters, that is.
And millions more. Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of thousands, and millions more saw it online. Even Charlie Sheen called it a turning point.
Thank you, retired police officer Carol Banks. I appreciate you, beloved. Happy Thursday back to you. All right, thanks for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, I want you all to pay attention to what Jesse just said. Jesse just said, and he's going to play the clip, he just said, even Charlie Sheen, spoke on Charlie Kirk. Well, who gives a damn what Charlie Sheen has to say? This man is disgusting. He's been accused of raping someone that was a teenager underage. He's also known to have HIV, the house in Virginia, and been going around having relations with folks unprotected. And I don't understand how he is not canceled, but I guess because he has privilege because of his skin tone. Okay? And now here is Jesse Waters sitting up here saying, even Charlie Sheen says, as if his word has any weight, as if it carries any credence. Are y'all listening to bullshit? But they have so much to say about what other people are saying. Nobody gives a darn what Jesse Waters has to say, nor Charlie Sheen. Jesse Waters called for violence. Why is he still on the air? Okay, why is he still on the air, but Jimmy Kimmel is not? Okay, please pay attention to the bull crap.
I think for this generation, I think that's their JFK moment. I mean, seriously, he didn't demean people. He didn't ridicule people. He didn't belittle or embarrass or gotcha. He showed up, you know, as prepared as you could have been, as passionate as you could have been.
So instead of demanding justice or honoring Kirk, the media is romanticizing the homicide.
Don't think I've ever experienced a press conference in which we've read text messages that are so fulsome, so robust, so apparently, allegedly self-incriminating, and yet on the other hand, so touching, right? With the suspect reaching out to his roommate, who was allegedly his boyfriend. He was trying to protect him. He kept calling him my love. My reason for doing this is to protect you, you know, but also asking him to delete the messages and not speak to law enforcement. So there's this heartbreaking duality that we're seeing very tragically playing out here.
It was a murder, not a tragic love story. That ABC reporter was forced to apologize. Kamala Harris's ex-boyfriend, Montel Williams, feels very passionate about the assassination.
Now, please pay attention to the bullshit. He mentioned that Montel is Kamala Harris's ex-boyfriend. He didn't even have to mention Kamala, but he took an opportunity to throw shade her way and then put up the picture, okay? And now, please also pay attention to the fact that that reporter was told to apologize. I'm sorry, what did he say that was wrong? Those were his thoughts. What he said actually happened and occurred. Supposedly, according to their own reports, I personally am not sure if it actually happened. I'm not so sure if this whole thing about Tyler Robinson being the one who did all of this and then who has a partner who just so happens to be trans, which is what the right has been trying to talk about all this time. And also, please pay attention to the fact that conveniently or coincidentally, whatever you want to call it, right before Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, they asked him about trans people. Do y'all remember that? I was thinking about that last night. They asked him, how many trans shooters have there been in the United States? And Charlie said, too many. And then they asked him one more question about the mass shootings, and he said gang violence, and that's when he was shot. Y'all don't find that interesting that he just so happened to be talking about trans shooters, and then the guy that shot him and killed him has a trans girlfriend, and we know the right has been talking about trans people being shooters as if there's a whole bunch of them, a whole secret network that nobody knows about lurking underground. Why are they going in on the trans shooters? This is what I'm so confused about. This country has so many hundreds of mass shootings per year, and they want to pick on trans shooters when I think maybe there's been maybe 2 of them at the most, maybe 3. But at the end of the day, most of the shooters are Caucasian males between the ages of 18 to 35. How come nobody's ever picked on them? How come nobody's ever made a big deal about them or said things about them or try to figure out how they got radicalized? They want to sit here and say that the shooter, Tyler Robinson, who is a Caucasian white male between the ages of 18 to 35, just like is the typical shooter in most cases, they want to act like he was radicalized by someone, like someone else put these thoughts into his head and made him carry out this nefarious plan. But I thought that he said that he came up with it himself. So why are they trying to push a different narrative? Please make it all make sense. But I know that they cannot, because it's all lies and BS, you see, and projection. And them trying to skirt away from the truth. Okay? With that all being said, I just find it all interesting. I find it all interesting. Now, retired federal police officer Carol Banks says, happy Friday. Beloved, today is Thursday, like you said. Okay, today is Thursday. You got your days mixed up like I do very often. Okay, but thank you for the contribution. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, Derek says Montel has always been conservative. Hold on here. Let's continue.
He thinks it's a poetic tale about two star-crossed lovers.
Love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. He sat on that building for 30 minutes before he took the shot. Why did he wait until the first word trans came up? Then he took the shot. I think this was a emotionally stunted person who literally, I want to say it this way, just hear me, tried to defend his significant other. Not
Do you all see how they're all looking at him? Hold on. Do you all see how they're looking at Montel right about now? They know that he's about to be in big trouble. They know he's about to be in big trouble. Softly Love said, shut up, Montel. They're looking at him like, we're not about to say ish, honey. We're not about to lose our jobs. Are you insane? They're looking at him like, honey, you're just here to visit. We have to actually work here. So we'll just be quiet and let you do all the damage. Y'all see the looks on their faces. Honey, they are like, sir, don't you think you've said enough? Claudette said, Montel, stop with the nonsense. Woo, I am done. Southpaw Panther said, okay, how did the shooter from almost 200 yards away hear the words spoken by Captain Kirk? Okay. And that's a good one, beloved. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. That's why it seems like it's just all something shady, because he couldn't have heard what they were saying, but yet he fired the shot literally right after the word trans. I find it all interesting, okay? I find it all interesting. Thank you, No More Drama, for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Let's let Montel finish cooking, honey, because these folks are looking at him like, sir, it's time for you to go. We've heard enough.
not trying to defend some ideology.
He killed Charlie Kirk out of true love to show his trans boyfriend he had a big heart. Can you believe this? They're basically saying you can love so hard you might have to kill. Then suddenly Obama comes out of nowhere and points his finger at Trump.
When I hear not just our current president, but his aides, who have a history of calling political opponents vermin, enemies, who need to be targeted, that speaks to a broader problem that we have right now.
Hold on. Perplex says, Montel is holding up well. He looks great. What he stated is quite plausible. It is plausible, beloved. And that's probably, that could actually have been what happened. I'm just laughing at the way they were all looking at him for saying it. Now, you know that they don't welcome the truth, beloved. They want everybody censored and to be quiet. And they don't want anybody specifically coming out trying to explain why the shooter did what he did, if he did it, because they've already tried to paint the narrative that it's all the fault of the left. Okay? Dark Titan said Montel don't have the phony psychic Sylvia Brown to tell him to stop. Oh, y'all are crazy. Oh, now Sheila, this is a good one, honey. Sheila says, because remember, you all were saying, how could the shooter have heard him say the word trans when he was like 200 yards away? Sheila says that was the hand signals the men were doing behind Charlie. Makes perfect sense if that is the case. That's plausible. They were doing hand signals behind him, so they could have been telling him it's time to go. It's time to, fire, honey. Who knows? It is definitely some sketchy going on, and something definitely was sketchy about those guys behind Charlie making those hand signals. I'm sorry. That was just not normal. Okay, that was just not normal in my opinion.
Trump, Charlie, and Scalise have all been shot. And Obama and Kimmel are pointing fingers at us. Last night, after everything about this assassin came out, CNN still wouldn't admit why he did it.
We don't have a motive yet. We don't know yet. We're waiting. Obviously, we've heard what the governor's had to say, what the FBI director said today.
Come on, we don't have a motive yet.
We know
we don't have a motive yet.
What's
really?
happening with
Really, that's CNN's position.
I mean, from law enforcement,
he just happened
Senator.
to fire the gun in celebration.
I'm not arguing with you politically. I'm saying that law enforcement has not put a specific motive. You know that there's a difference of what they're putting in a legal
They
argument
have. That
than what you're
statement is
talking about.
false.
And you're not even.
What you
We're not
just
even
said is
arguing.
false.
You see that? Why was he getting all mad with the lady, honey? She couldn't get a word in edgewise. Did y'all hear it? Now let's talk about this one right here because she's about to go in on Obama, honey. Okay, this is Laura Ingraham. She's gonna go in on Obama or Montel, I think. Hold on. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Here we go. This woman looks like a horse to me.
Now, Barack Obama, I think he knows his party's in big trouble. He's not stupid. Look, they stand for nothing. They have no leader, and their approval numbers are in the sewer. And now, on top of all that, the public is connecting the dots about his party's vile rhetoric and how it's fueling rage-filled, violent, murderous responses. But rather than pull his party off the air,
now I want you all to pay attention to how she's sitting there saying all this stuff about the left when it's them. Are these people that delusional or just maniacs? I'm sorry. Okay, Couture Bay said she looks a mess. Yes, she absolutely looks a mess, beloved.
cliff with a course correction, Obama decided to gaslight the public about the assassination.
On both sides, undoubtedly, there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. Those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them when we have the weight of the United States government behind extremist views. We've got a problem.
All right, yeah, you heard that. He's practically blaming Trump for the Kirk assassination, and he's still advancing the lie.
And here's the thing. She's sitting here saying that Obama's pointing the finger and said he's practically blaming Trump. At the end of the day, they've been blaming Obama. They've been blaming the left. So what is she talking about? Does she simply think that the right can say whatever they want to, but nobody else better say anything to counter their false narrative? What is she talking about? He literally said both sides. At least he's trying to take some accountability, okay, for some of the things that on the left, what they may have done. But the right doesn't want to take any at all. They just want to keep pointing the finger at the left when we all know that it's the right's fault. Okay, that young man's family said that they were all MAGA and supporters of Trump. They didn't say anything about Democrats. And does she really think that people on the outside influenced him more so than his own family that he lived with every day? Like, lady, sit down somewhere. Stop trying to blame it on the black man.
That 77 million Americans who voted for Trump hold extremist views. Plus, let's not forget the truly extremist moves his administration made, like using the intel community as he was on his way out the door to push a fake Russia collusion narrative in hopes of crippling the incoming President Trump. Yeah, that was pretty extremist, don't you think, Barack? Now, even for Obama, whose administration started us down this dark political road, those comments were appalling. More on this later. But he knows full well that for the past decade, the press and Democrats have encouraged everyone, including impressionable young people, to think that our country was being taken over by a would-be dictator with a fascist agenda. Trump supporters were tarred as extremists. He's still doing it. Domestic terrorists, MAGA fascists. The word fascist now echoes through every left-wing protest. Can't avoid it. Professors, columnists, senators, governors, congressmen, even judges feed this narrative with the language.
I've heard enough from her. I have heard absolutely enough. Okay, let's continue. All right, let us continue. Now, here we go with another clip from Jesse Waters. And I want to go to what Jimmy Kimmel said in response to them giving him the boot. I'm going to that
Is
next.
it easier for them to pull the plug on someone like Jimmy Kimmel, given the political and media environment we're in right now?
It's certainly easier for them to give an opportunity to walk it back or to try and clarify exactly what he meant, and more importantly, to tell the truth about what actually occurred here. This comes down to the typical leftist tactic of never wanting to take responsibility for anything. They gin up all of this foment, all of this narrative, and now all of a sudden something horrific has happened and it's their guy, and they want to say, oh no, it's a MAGA guy. Which is not true. It's a lie. And they've done this time after time with violent cases after violent cases. And when it doesn't suit their narrative to try and lie and say it's someone from the right, they justify it, just like they justified $2 billion worth of rioting damage and murder of police officers in the summer of 2020. So they are masters of projection. When they say it's the conservatives, the right wings, political ecosphere doing this, they're actually talking about themselves. They're holding up a mirror and they don't like what they see. And instead of just taking some responsibility and saying, how can we prevent this from happening again? We have a sick problem inside the left. The data proves it out. Polling after polling shows that a significant number of people on the left justify political violence, not just getting a little violent by destroying property, but by murdering those who they disagree with. And we've seen this occur.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to figure it out. But
nobody's lying except for Fox News, okay, and the right. That's who's telling all the lies. Please pay attention, okay? Trying to paint all these narratives. Anyone with sense is not falling for any of it, okay?
I think that you were poking the bear a little bit to see if they would, by doing political stuff and all, or saying whatever is on your mind and risking viewership. Do you think you're kind of poking them a little bit to see what they would do?
No, and I really, this is just I don't know. This is, I really think that when they were trying to buy Fox, they were worried that Trump was going to screw them up somehow. And I think that was part of why they were nervous about my comments, I don't think anybody was, certainly I don't think their political beliefs conflicted with mine, but yeah, if you want to do if you want to have a big audience, you want to keep you don't want to piss a lot of people off, and I was pissing a lot of people off. But as far as being appreciated, feeling appreciated, I would say the first 10 to 12 years of my tenure at ABC, the feeling was you're lucky to be here. I think that's the feeling I always got, is that somehow somebody was doing me a favor by allowing me to be on their network. And that changed very late into my run there, and
was there something that you think changed it?
Well, I think there were different people there. I think that's what it was. I think that there's a group of executives that worked at Fox who had a different, who told me, they would say like, oh, we wish he was here. We wish we had him on our stage at the network up front, or, speaking for us, or, whatever, doing our show on this network. And when they came over to ABC, they took that opinion of me with them and expressed it, which was, which a lot of people don't do, a lot of networks. And to me, I know it's weird, but I worked in radio for a long time and I got fired from a lot of jobs. And like my boss's opinion of me means something to me, and maybe, I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. I don't think David Letterman ever cared what his boss thought of him, but that's somehow ingrained in me. And maybe it's from being fired so often. Maybe it's just my personality or whatever, but that is something in me. And to hear the people I work for say that they liked what I was doing and they valued me was important to me.
So they just got rid of that man because they didn't like what he said. And that's the way it's going to be for a lot of us, apparently. That's the way it's going to be for a lot of people, apparently. At the end of the day, I mean, freedom of speech is out the window. But Trump, like I said, Trump sat there and lied and basically said that he was going to bring back freedom of speech and did exactly the opposite.
President Biden to be executed. He said he wouldn't want to go on a plane with black people or being flown by a black pilot rather. Over and over again, Charlie Kirk has spread hate. He said that black jurists, Michelle Obama and Ketanji Brown Jackson and others, didn't have the mental brain power or capacity to truly hold their jobs. That's a direct quote from Charlie Kirk. He said that the civil rights movement was a complete mistake. So spare me the constructive dialogue. Charlie Kirk was a hate monger while he was alive. Now, we condemn in the strongest terms violence, but let's not rewrite history about what took place here. And by the way, I read for you the transcript of what Jimmy Kimmel said. That's the whole thing that they're getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel over. Like, what did he say there that was wrong? I still don't see what he said there that was incorrect. He's a comedian. He's allowed to do jokes. And really, Donald Trump was the one who was asked, how are you mourning? And he points to the ballroom and says, I'm building a ballroom. He can't even himself express sympathy. Now, the chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr, wrote the following: I want to thank Nexstar for doing the right thing. Local broadcasters have an obligation to serve the public interest. While this may be an unprecedented decision, it is important for broadcasters to push back on Disney programming that they determine falls short of community values. I hope that other broadcasters follow Nexstar's lead. Now, Brian Stelter, reporter, asked for comment from the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, and Brendan Carr sent a GIF of The Office of the characters raising the roof, celebrating the termination of Jimmy Kimmel. Right-wing media influencers like Benny Johnson are congratulating Nexstar for canceling Jimmy Kimmel, and ABC Disney, thank you for standing up for Charlie. Now, earlier in the day, you had FCC Chairman Brendan Carr go on the Benny Johnson show to threaten Nexstar, to threaten ABC Disney, to threaten their local affiliate licenses, as well as the merger between Nexstar and their largest rival, Tegna, in a merger that would make Nexstar the largest owners of local TV stations. And Trump's FCC got involved.
Okay, so there's a lot of people that are speaking out about what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, and I know they weren't expecting that. They thought they're just going to get rid of him. That's going to be the end of it, apparently, but not how it turned out. People are upset. Okay, and we're going to see just how upset people are in the next few days with this boycotting of ABC and Disney. Okay, I can't wait to see how this is all going to turn out. Quite frankly, I love it when the snakes all start fighting each other.
Oh, but you guys are celebrating. You guys are doing this. You guys shut the fuck up. You guys held a meet and greet with George Zimmerman after he killed Trayvon Martin. Y'all brought Skittles and Confederate flags for him to sign. You guys are mentally ill.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. They are mentally ill. They are mentally ill. These are the same people making memes saying that anybody not affected or sad or whatever, or celebrating or whatever his death, then you're mentally ill. Well, you know, that may be true, but I believe that people are mentally ill who sit there and laugh at black people when they get killed by the police, who think it's funny when somebody loses their life while unarmed. Okay, who sits there and laughs at videos of George Floyd or imitates and mocks him. Okay, I feel the same way about that. And then they lie and say, okay, that he died from an overdose. That's even what Charlie Kirk said. Now, how would Charlie Kirk have liked it if people said that about him? The same thing he said about George Floyd. George Floyd was murdered just like Charlie Kirk was, not in the same manner, but murdered nonetheless.
Boycotting Disney for firing Jimmy Kimmel.
What happened?
After Disney fired Jimmy Kimmel for making a joke about Trump, put out a post bragging about how we got him fired.
People are saying his free speech got politicized.
And all he did was make a joke. So now millions of people are boycotting Disney and all of their businesses.
Every single one.
Listen. Every single one, from CNN, Hulu, Disney Plus, ABC, ESPN, Marvel, Pixar, Lucasfilm, National Geographic. And that goes for any subscription connected to Disney. People are even posting instructions on how to cancel their Hulu bundle. And they're saying instead of going to Disneyland, they're going to go to Universal.
Anything Disney can do?
It's too late. But it doesn't just stop at Disney. People are now saying any company that fires somebody over the Charlie Kirk incident will be boycotted too. But Disney's going to be used as the prime example. So far, the companies listed are CNN, American Airlines, Office Depot, Washington Post, MSNBC, Microsoft, DC Comics, Warner Brothers, Sony, Delta Airlines, and any other company that dares fire somebody over free speech. Why would they do that?
There's more unemployed people than jobs available right now. Now is not the time to be firing somebody for something they said that wasn't even malicious or hateful.
Yeah, well, let's do that.
Okay, at the end of the day, honey. So people are saying that these companies that are firing people for just stating their opinions, they're going to boycott all of them. And I hope they do. Okay, we'll see who's the toughest, the government or the people. That's how we'll see how that works. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. Now, listen to this old man, what he says about Trump.
Do you know who Jimmy Kimmel is?
I'm afraid I don't.
He's a late night talk show. He was taken off the air for making a joke about how Donald Trump responded to Charlie Kirk's death.
That son of a... Well, it doesn't surprise me. Nobody can say anything. This country is beginning to sound like Putin's Russia, or you probably don't even know who I'm talking about.
You're going to say McCarthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I get apoplectic about that because 2 people in my family got caught in that mess.
In the Red Scare.
Uh-huh. And I got caught in the Lavender Scare, but that's another story.
People were turning in people for being gay.
That's right.
Yeah. They're asking people to turn in their coworkers for sure. They hear them say something that they don't like about Charlie Kirk.
Why does that sound familiar? Like the wheels turning again. Time doesn't go straight. It goes in a circle. But you know who the real villains in this whole thing are? 60-some% of American voters who didn't.
I love you for that. It's true.
My family's lived in this town since the 1850s, and we had many generations we could not even vote for a school board. Burns me up. There are people that think this is some kind of a game. It is a privilege. Half the world can't.
All right, y'all heard what he said. Okay. D Major said, people listen. When comedy is under attack in your country, you're heading down a dangerous road. I'm not joking. Okay, no pun intended. You're absolutely right. I mean, you can't even crack a joke these days, honey. Somebody make it all make sense. Okay, make it all make sense. Now, we're going to get into these black pastors and what they had to say in just a moment. But first, let's listen to some of the stuff that Charlie had to say.
That they are, because George Zimmerman was told to stand back by the police department. He had no authority to follow him, and it was a self-defense case where the problem is he who dies does not get to testify. The only fact that was presented in court was based on George Zimmerman's testimony.
Okay, I want to speed this up. I don't think people even know who George Zimmerman is in this audience. This was a decade ago.
So we could go with O.J. Simpson.
Well, which crime of O.J. Simpson are we talking about? Because he was incarcerated twice.
Well,
now here's what I want you all to pay attention to right here. Listen to how the guy was first asking Charlie about George Zimmerman. Charlie didn't want to answer the question about George Zimmerman. He came up with an excuse. Then the man brought up OJ, and now Charlie's fine with talking about that. This is the same thing he did in Utah. They asked him about mass shooters. He didn't want to discuss mass shooters because we know mass shooters are white. When they asked him about it, he brought up gang violence to put the focus on black people. He's doing the same thing right here, but people want to say this man is not or was not racist. I have to disagree. Okay, retired federal police officer Carol Banks said it was a joke, Queen, trying to make you laugh. Okay. Thank you, beloved. I did laugh. Thank you. I appreciate you. And thanks for your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings.
Crime of the murder.
Okay.
What makes you believe that he's guilty if you're going based on fair law judgment rather than emotional bias?
Okay, so again, you really think that was a fair trial? First of all, the police screwed up a lot of stuff. Let's just be honest. The police was the reason why O.J. Simpson was accused. They reached too far. They wanted to get a guilty verdict too much. Kardashian pounced on it. And let's all be very clear. If the police would have just preserved evidence.
Now, also, please please pay attention how he didn't give credit to Johnny Cochran, who was the force behind OJ's dream team that made him be acquitted. He gave it to Robert Kardashian. Are y'all listening? He said Kardashian pounced on it. I'm sorry. Johnny Cochran's the one that pounced on it. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. What are you talking about? But see how he gave no credit to Johnny Cochran? Okay. The real hero in that story that saved OJ from prison. Please pay attention.
In its original form, OJ Simpson would have died behind bars. Okay. And again, you want to talk about Rusty? OJ Simpson was before I was born. I don't remember all the facts associated to it.
Exactly.
But here's my thing. Don't try to find, oh, wow, Carmelo Anthony, 2 teenagers at a track meet. By the way, you think that track meet self-defense is like legitimate between two?
I think they're all guilty. My argument is a consistency. If you believe one is guilty, they're all guilty.
OJ
if you
Simpson
believe
was
one
never
is not guilty,
OJ
they're all
Simpson was
innocent.
not self-defense though. It was that he was on trial for cold-blooded murder.
But you believe he was guilty and he should be behind bars?
Yes, which is a completely different case than Carmelo Anthony.
No, the idea is that he was not. They didn't present enough evidence to incarcerate
Carmelo
him.
Anthony hasn't been on trial yet. We don't know all the facts
You're
yet,
basing
man.
it on an emotional bias.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to how he's so hypocritical right here. He says, we don't know all the facts. There hasn't been a trial yet, right? But at the same time, he's saying that Carmelo Anthony is guilty and that was not self-defense. Again, we haven't had the trial yet, and he doesn't know all the facts. But it's okay for him to paint his narrative. It's okay for him to say what he wants to say. But when someone else says something, oh, now you don't have all the facts. See how that works? So I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, so anyway, moving right along. Now, this video I'm going to play here is why some people claim that Charlie was not a racist. So let's listen to this. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Black America has been used by the tools as tools by the left as trying to say, keep on voting for us, keep on supporting us. I believe that Black America can be revitalized, can be wealthier, can be richer, can have stronger families. And I refuse to live under the bigotry of low expectations that the left constantly uses. If we look at the last 60 years, if we are honest with ourselves, have been detrimental for Black America. Incomes going down. In 1965, 25% of Black Americans had a mother and 75% had a mother and father when they were raised. That is now down to 25%. 3 out of 4 of Black Americans are raised without a solid mother and father in the home. If we're serious about saving the country, we must rebuild the family. However, the question is, do people want to be free? Freedom and liberty is very, very difficult. When God's chosen people, the Hebrews, left Egypt and went into the wilderness, after a couple of days, they started complaining. They said, God, and this is in Numbers 14, you could fact check me on this. God, we are tired of eating cucumbers, leeks, and melons. We are tired of eating manna. We want to go back to Egypt, slavery, where at least we were able to eat meat. The question you need to ask yourself is, do people want to be free? I think freedom is a better way of living, but comfortable slavery is very tempting. And we are here to try to break those shackles free and to try to make all Americans live with a better future and more prosperity. Thank you, guys. Let's do some questions for the time I have remaining. We need to rebuild the Black family in America, and we need to make it a strong presence. Let me be clear. People that have used and abused the Black community in the name of God have committed the most grievous sin against the Lord.
Okay, so now that you all have heard that, what do you all think? Do you all think that he wasn't racist because of the things he was saying right there? What I find interesting is what he was saying is basically some of the same things that Candace Owens would say. What do you all think? Why don't Charlie Kirk mention the so-called African Americans, all the people he's talking about? The so-called African Americans, all the people he's talking about. This is what Ramon says. If that's the case, you would have been fighting for so-called Black Americans to get their reparations, Charlie, so miss with the BS. You're exactly right, okay? See, here's the thing. Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, I do believe that he was racist. But at the same time, when he was talking that type of talk, in my opinion, that was to recruit Black people for the right. Because the right, they're always willing to work with Black people that are raccoons, like Candace, okay? And Herschel Walker and those types. All right. So with that all being said, that talk right there was for them. Right. And so with that all been said, to me, Charlie Kirk, given that speech he just gave, sounded like the people on that movie Trick Baby, who were saying they were going to let a few Black people through and have them think that they're sitting at the table with them, but they keep them in line. That's what that reminded me of. Okay, that's what that reminded me of. Claudette said, good point, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Leon said, tell him, Queen. Thank you. That's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, here's the problem I had with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, like I told you before, was always saying negative things about the Black community. When anyone brought up negative aspects of his community, he would deflect, gaslight, or change the subject and just would bring it back to Black people. He thought that we were inferior. That was obvious from some of the things that he said. When he talked about the 3 women who didn't have the brain processing power, why would he say that about Michelle Obama? Michelle Obama graduated from 2 Ivy League colleges. She's very well educated. Even if she got hired through DEI, we could know that she's still very educated. Okay, as is Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson. So for him to say that was absolutely insulting. And also what he said about the Black pilots, because whether or not you're hired for being Black as a pilot, you still have to have the hours of training, okay, to become a pilot. Like I told you all on last night. Okay, so I'm not here for any of it. Now I want you all to hear what this Black man had to say about Charlie Kirk. Like up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Saw one of my Black sisters in Christ post a video where she took the time to say that Charlie Kirk was murked because he was a truth teller. She compared the publicized nature of his death to the days when enslaved Black men who were working to lead a revolt were hanged by rough, rugged ropes to send a message to others to stay in their place. She then tried to say that he wasn't rude or disrespectful, but I want to tell my dear sister that she either doesn't know or is forgetful that he said a mouthful of disparaging remarks about our people that came from his heart. I want to tell my dear sister it's a slap in the face to our ancestors to compare the valiant nature of their deaths to a man who spent semester after semester attempting to downplay their legacy and the trauma of their descendants with each of his breaths. I want to tell her that yes, it's tragic and this man should not have been shot, but this is the same person that spoke of qualified Black women and said they didn't have the brain processing power to be taken seriously, so they went to steal a white person's slot. I want to ask my dear sister, how can we lay claim to a faith that is based on redemption, love, empathy, and being greater than your mistakes, then have a great deal of our base spit in the face of morals and decency and stand in support of a man who frequently stood on the other side of those tenets? And I'm not without sin, so I'm not here to cast stones, but Mr. Kirk's truth-telling was not based in love and proved to be lethal. His energy was rooted in sowing division and dehumanizing God's people. I agree that no one should celebrate the murder of a human being, but as believers in Christ, with all of our declaring and decreeing, we understand just as much as anyone the power of the tongue in the life that we're supposed to be speaking in. We serve a God of justice and empathy, but how can we be taken seriously if we throw support to a man who didn't even believe in it? I want to tell my sister I have to challenge our overall commitment to morality. And tragically, this is a difficult reality to fathom when we speak about the love of the Holy Spirit. And how can we expect anyone to hear it or believe us when our brothers and sisters in Christ are aligning themselves with the kind of person who would have hammered the nails into Jesus? My sister, his words were cancerous to so many when our words need to be like marrow. I know the gate is small and the road is narrow, but how can we study someone like Moses only to wind up being overly apologetic apologetic to someone who had a hardened heart like Pharaoh. Our truth tellers have names like Tubman, Sojourner, Turner, and Vesey. And I say these words not to be combative or messy, but to say it's dangerous when we let our faith overshadow the ways people treat us. And I know we are called to forgive, but I feel like it's egregious to make excuses for people who live their life to stoke fear and spoke about so many people without the love of Jesus.
Did y'all hear that? Because that was absolutely powerful. Okay? That was absolutely powerful. So with that all being said, Ivan Curry said, last time I came to your channel, moderators kicked me out. I get it. But if you could please tell me one thing, anybody in this room, what have the Democrats did for you? I'm Black. Well, Ivan, no one said the Democrats or the Republicans did anything for us, beloved. Okay? As it stands right now, the Republicans are in charge. So why are we talking about the Democrats? What have the Republicans done for you, Ivan? What have the Republicans done for you? And moderators, listen to me closely. Do not kick anyone out of the chat for disagreeing. People are welcome to disagree respectfully. Okay, do not kick anyone out of this chat ever unless someone has been disrespectful. All right, that Crazy Beach Aries, let's not go back and forth with people in the chat. That's another thing, moderators. You all are not to go back and forth with subscribers. Okay? That's not your job, beloveds. Okay, so Goodness Rated Bo said you have to be careful when you dance with the devil. Kevin Samuels and Charlie Kirk are both the same, and they both have been silenced. Woo, honey. There's a thought. There's a thought. Okay? Lorraine said, I respect that. That's why I love it over here. Thank you, beloved. Okay? Now, with that all being said, Alejandro, thank you for your contribution, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay? Lady E said he spoke a word. He certainly did. Now, let's go to these pastors and see what they have to say about it all. We'll start with Pastor Jamal Bryant, okay? My favorite. Right here from Atlanta. I'm just going to play a brief clip. All right, here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
I'm concerned about all of these Negro preachers who've been, in fact, talking about that this man that was killed was the answer to Christ in the earth. Y'all ain't saying that. They having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King? The only thing that Charlie, Chris, and Martin Luther King got in common is both of them was killed by a white man. After that, they got nothing else in common.
All right, y'all heard what Pastor Jamal Bryant said. He said they have nothing in common. Okay? Nothing in common. Please pay attention. Charlie Kirk didn't even like Dr. King, so I don't even know why they're comparing him to him anyway, when he didn't even like the man. This is
Gotta be careful.
This is Pastor Marcus D. Cosby. This is Pastor Marcus D. Cosby.
Careful of the positions you take, because they might just come back and take you. I am not applauding his death. That boy should not have died. His children got to be raised without a father. His wife has to deal with living without her husband. It should not have gone down like that. But the Bible says, if you live by the sword, be careful of your public positions, because the Bible says you will reap what you sow. They're just watching it go down. We'll try to rob you of your song.
All right, y'all heard that. Now we have Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes to the stage.
Say, America, we better than this. You lying. You lying. We ain't better than this. America was born in political violence. America committed political violence during the slave trade. America committed political violence when black bodies hung as strange fruit on southern trees. America committed political violence against the Irish, against the Italians before they became white. America committed political violence when America passed Jim and Jane Crow laws. What do you think political violence was? Political violence when they bombed and massacred Black Wall Street, when they massacred Rosewood, when they massacred whites and blacks in Wilmington, North Carolina. What do you think political violence is? Martin being killed, that's political violence. John Kennedy being killed, political violence. Robert Kennedy being killed, political violence. And you gonna say we better than this? No, you can't fix what you won't face until you look in the mirror and say this is a violent country that has done violence to too many people. We will never get our act together. It's time to repent, because if my people called by my name humble themselves and pray, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land. Come on, we better than this. No, we ain't. We ain't better than this. We ain't better than this. But to get better, you got to acknowledge what's wrong.
All right, he preached the word, because I get so sick and tired of people saying that too. Oh, we're better than this. Oh, this isn't who we are. It is who we are. We're not better than this, because it keeps happening. Okay, just like he said, they always want to deny and say, oh, this isn't who we are. Yes, it is. Stop the cap. It's exactly who America is. Please pay attention. Chief Jones has said, when you committing cosmic blasphemy, bearing false witness on the gods, unbeknownst, F around and find out. Chief Jonesy, you're absolutely right, beloved. You are absolutely right. And thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay? Not F around and find out. Okay, here we go.
About the fact that this week in Utah, a white Christian got killed by a white Christian. And then the next day, HBCUs were under threat. Now, how did we get in it? Let me hasten to say, I'm anti-political violence. Kirk should still be alive. I don't agree with the time with anything Kirk said. What Kirk said was dangerous. What Kirk said was racist, rooted in white supremacy, nasty, and hate-filled. But he still should be alive. He still should be playing with his kids. He still should be experiencing the love with his wife. He still should be experiencing life as he saw it. I don't want anybody, please hear me well, anybody to be victimized by political violence.
I really despise the way that Kirk was killed last week. I despise the way he was killed. Shouldn't have gone down like that. But political violence ain't nothing new to this nation. Now, let's be clear. Let's be clear. They killed our ancestors over political violence. That was political violence right there. Knees on necks, that's political violence right there. Shooting you down for having some Skittles and a drink, that's political violence right there.
Oh, excuse me, Charlie Kirk
should not have been executed and assassinated like that on American soil. Nobody should die because of their opinions in a democracy. He should not have had to die. He should not have been assassinated the way he was in front of his family, no matter what his political views were.
Now, that is absolutely true. Okay, that is absolutely true. And here's the thing. When you had all of these Black leaders who died and were assassinated for the same reasons, for voicing their views and opinions and for standing up against the government, okay, they shouldn't have lost their lives either. But nobody had moments of silences for them. Nobody cared. Well, let's continue.
Even if he was a conservative or a...
And I'm talking about people like Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X. I'm talking about those type of people, but let's continue.
Liberal, when you open up a can of worms like that, you begin a firestorm that's going to affect everybody. At the same time, you can say Charlie Kirk was saying some very racist and bigoted comments that were harmful to Black, brown, Black women, and minorities in the nation. Y'all quiet.
And I don't celebrate anyone's murder. Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be murdered. But I'm overwhelmed to see the nation's flag fly at half staff for a man who was a proud racist and spent his entire life sowing seeds of division and hatred into this land. And then these hypocrites with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't say anything about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were gunned down in their living room. Tell me that I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who never showed compassion or respect for my life. Y'all, there's nowhere in Bible we are told to honor evil. But how you died does not redeem how you lived. Your death does not make you a hero. It does not make you one who should be honored. It does not make you one who should be respected. I can be sorry about your death, but not celebrate your life. You did not live.
Okay. So I absolutely agree with that. You can be sorry about someone's death, but not have to celebrate the way they lived. At the end of the day, if you disagree and that's your opinion, you're entitled to it. That's just how it goes. Okay, they can make what kind of laws they want, policies, whatever, fire people, do whatever. But at the end of the day, people should always be entitled to have their own opinion and to be able to voice it as long as it is not physically hurting anyone else or they're not calling for violence like the right is doing. They're not saying anything about that. They're not saying anything about that. The people who are being punished are the people who are only speaking the truth. The people who are being punished are people who are simply voicing their opinion and not bowing down to the Trump administration. But the people that are saying everything that the Trump administration agrees with and wants to hear, those people are safe. No one's calling out the right for the violence that they're sitting here trying to provoke by the nasty things they're saying and not even calling for unity. They could sit there and say what they want to say about Obama, but the bottom line is we all know that Obama was a far better president than Trump. And at the end of the day, when things happened, there were situations that could invoke racial fears or racial tensions or whatever. Obama would at least come out and try to calm things down and basically speak on it and then call for unity. Because that's what a president is supposed to do. This president that we have now this wannabe dictator, he's not calling for unity. He's being very divisive, as he always has been. And this is the same person who thinks that his followers and supporters are stupid, because supposedly, allegedly, that's what he has said about them behind closed doors. And I'm sure we all know that. We've all heard about it. Okay, so anyway, Sheila, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Thank you for all of you who have contributed to the channel in one way or another, whether you've bought memberships for yourselves or other people, or sent super chats, cash apps, PayPal, or whatever. I appreciate you and love you all to life. With that all being said, let me ask you all something. One's in the chat, if you feel that Charlie Kirk was racist. One's in the chat. One's in the chat. Choose if you do not. Choose if you do not. Thank you, Queen Sam. I appreciate you, beloved. So there's a lot of ones. Well, here's the thing. There are some people who don't think that he was, and we're going to talk about it. So tonight at about 8:30, I'm supposed to be having a debate with someone about whether or not Charlie Kirk was racist. Who wants to see it? Who wants to see it? I'm going to put it out. Queen Sam, I'll put it in the chat, beloved. And thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so I'm supposed to be having a debate with Marlon from Too Strong. If you all know Marlon from Too Strong, I'm supposed to be debating him because Marlon doesn't seem to think that Mr. Kirk was racist. And I happen to think that he was. So we're supposed to be having a debate at 8:30. You all be sure to tune in. And we're going to see how it all goes down. We're going to see how it all goes down, because I want to know why he thinks this man was not racist. Because to me, it's very obvious. And it's very obvious to me. Okay, it is very obvious to me on this channel. On this channel, Adrian, on this channel. Okay? Oh, and hold on. Let me show you all one more thing. This is something I forgot to show you all. Hold on. Let me show you all this. I saw somebody mention it in the chat. Where is it? One of the people on Fox who was talking about homeless people, like just kill them. Let me go to this very brief clip. I want you all to hear this. Because this is absolutely, and nobody's going in on him about this. This is the thing right here. This man should have been fired for saying this. Nobody's saying a darn thing. Meanwhile, people are getting fired for voicing opinions that are perfectly harmful. Listen to what he said.
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up.
Y'all heard that? He said, or involuntary lethal injection. Just kill them. This man called for them to kill homeless people. And you mean to tell me they didn't fire him, but they fired Matt Dowd? Jimmy Kimmel? You're listening to the foolishness? See, this is what I'm talking about right here. How is this okay? How is that all right? Who does that? This man just called on them to murder homeless people. So he thinks that they don't deserve to live. Isn't that something? That is a darn shame, honey. Honey, when I tell you some of these people are whole demons cloaked in human flesh, I don't care what anybody says. That is a fact. That is a fact. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got